It's the start of a new year. I hope you're all looking forward to getting a lot done in 2023 as I am. For my first video of this year, I wanted to look back at my personal game of the year for 2022. Released in June of 2022, Poinpy is the latest and greatest from Downwell developer Ojiro Fumoto, and I couldn't put it down once I started playing. Whilst in Downwell, you traverse down a well at high speeds, shooting and stomping on enemies. In Poinpy, you play as this little creature, leaping upwards and collecting fruit in order to make juice before the beast hot on your tracks gets too impatient. Whilst Poinpy shares a lot of similarities with Downwell and feels like a spiritual successor of sorts, Poinpy is in every way a progression on the mobile game formula which Fumoto received acclaim for back in 2015. So let's delve into what it is that keeps players hooked on this cute platformer. The first aspect of Poinpy's design I need to talk about is the constant variety the developers have injected into the game through the different areas, abilities, and modes. Poinpy starts you out in a cute jungle environment with vines, birds, and ladybugs, but as you progress through the game, you start to unlock new areas. The first time you reach a new area, it's a real thrill as you get to encounter new mechanics which sometimes help you and sometimes harm you. If we compare these to the areas in Downwell, what's interesting is the fact that Poinpy's areas don't have a set order. Once you unlock a new area, the order in which you encounter the areas is random, so you could encounter it first. However, this doesn't disrupt the difficulty curve of the game, because difficulty is determined by the juice recipe you're being asked to make. So on top of each run being completely unique, the devs get more out of each area because encountering the jungle area first when the difficulty is easy is completely different to encountering it last when the difficulty is much more challenging. But eventually you will get tired of the core gameplay loop of Poinpy, especially because the game is so simple. If you do, there's a semi-hidden puzzle mode which you can unlock once you've played for a short time in the main game. Puzzle mode is a really welcome change of pace from the normal game loop, as each level is not randomly generated, but crafted in a way to make you think carefully about the mechanics of the game. Because the levels are self-contained, and you can view the whole room before you make a move, this mode encourages you to take things slowly, which is a breath of fresh air after the frantic pace of the normal game mode. The hidden benefit of the puzzle mode is that it teaches players the game mechanics in more depth than trial and error achieves in the main game. As soon as you enter a new area and meet new challenges, you can go to the puzzle mode levels for that area and experience these new mechanics in a calmer environment. Then, when you go back to the game, you'll know what to expect and how to tackle these obstacles. To reinforce this positive feedback loop, completing a puzzle mode level rewards you with seeds, the game's currency. You can earn seeds in the main game as well, but if you're struggling, this mode rewards you in a more direct manner, and then you can go to the shop to get a new ability, which then helps you progress in the main game. One of the ways in which Poinpy feels a lot like a roguelike is the fact that you unlock abilities over time, which change the way that you play and also make you more powerful. This sounds like it could lead to the game getting easier over time, and I don't think any players would particularly enjoy that. However, I don't really think that the dev team intend for any players to aim to beat the game with no extra abilities. It's probably possible, but definitely an extreme challenge. So, the abilities in one sense artificially boost your progress in the game, but in another sense, the game isn't really a singular challenge that requires you to just get good, but a series of levels of gameplay which the abilities ease you through. Key to this progression is the way that you unlock abilities in Poinpy. You have a certain number of ability slots, and these are unlocked over time. This means that you're never overwhelmed with options, and the game gives you time to learn how one ability will affect your gameplay and also how it might synergize with other abilities. As you progress through the game, and as you get better, the increased number of ability slots is suddenly not intimidating, but liberating, as you know what to do with the slots to maximize your own enjoyment of the game. Likewise, Poinpy is set up carefully so that the abilities which are the most fun are also the most powerful, so as you have more fun with the game, you're also getting pushed towards the finish line. This avoids the problem outlined by Civilization developer Soren Johnson, who said that, given the opportunity, players will optimize the fun out of the game. An example of a great ability is the slowdown ability. Whilst not the most useful ability for the endgame, slowdown helps players who are struggling by giving them time to consider their options and encourages them to make the high-risk, high-reward moves. This helps the player become a good Poinpy player and leads the player towards the combo chasing playstyle, which gets you into the flow state that makes the game maximally enjoyable. Once you've mastered the mechanics, playing skillfully and getting big combos really starts to accelerate your progress, not only through to the end game, but in the beginning stages of the game. whereas new players can take their time on the easy sections. Experienced players can blast through the early game by playing well, so they don't spend any time potentially getting bored. On top of this, performing well will earn you seeds, the game's currency, as well as levels. Seeds are used in a gacha machine, which offer you 3 abilities from which you can pick one. This choice serves to tease you with what you could have and give you an idea of what you're working towards. The fact that you always have a new way to play on the horizon tempts you to keep playing until you can unlock a new ability. In the same vein, levels can either give you more seeds, more jumps, or more ability slots. Having another measure of your progress means that you always have something incomplete to finish, so you don't find yourself discouraged by being far from any goal to the point that you would quit the game. Ultimately, what separates Poinpy from similar games is that it's completable. Whilst I was playing Poinpy and getting better, I couldn't put the game down, but since finishing it, I've only played it a few times, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Poinpy doesn't allow the player to feel overwhelmed because complexity is unlocked through a combination of execution and experience, and so once you've seen everything the game has to offer, you're satisfied. That's a feeling too few games are brave enough to try and offer players these days. With that said, that's it for this video. I hope it's been interesting or at least entertaining. If you've already played Poinpy, did you agree with my assessment? Let me know in the comments. If you haven't played Poinpy, you'll unfortunately need a Netflix account to do so, but if you do, I highly recommend giving it a go and seeing if it sucks you in. I think you're in for a real treat. To see more videos from me, subscribe and hit the notification button, and you can leave a like to let YouTube know that you enjoyed this video. In any case, I'll see you next time.